Hello everyone and welcome to another Armchair Athletes live stream, a last minute lineup change video that I definitely wanted to crank out once I saw all the news coming out about an hour ago. I see BapChaps already in the chat excited for this live stream, half an hour out from noon kickoff. So I just have 4 quick updates and then any questions that you guys have at all that you want to ask about, oh, this person's hurt, this person might not play, somebody in front of them is now healthy, are they worth starting? Their matchup just changed because the corner covering them is now healthy. How should I approach that? Just pop those questions in the chat and we will answer as many questions for you as humanly possible. I'll try and get every single one of them. Hopefully there's plenty so I can help out plenty of you. So my name is Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. I'll do my quick spiel. Make sure you follow us on all of our social medias. We do plenty of fantasy analysis, so make sure you like and subscribe to get 2 to 3 live streams, this being number 3 for the week, per week, and then you get YouTube shorts. They're deep dives on different players, different teams, different situations on a daily basis. Also, make sure you check out the Start 2, Sit 1 YouTube short series we have going on. Those are all done if you want to check in the last half an hour for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. I do a quick set of 2 you should start and 1 you should sit at each position. So now, really quickly, let's get to our Week 11 last-minute fantasy updates. Kenyon Drake, let's start with him. He is in a very optimal position. He's been extremely impressive as of late, scoring 15-plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. Why am I bringing him up right now? Gus Edwards is deemed unlikely to play in that matchup against the Panthers. Kenyon Drake has been super efficient. That's going to help his usage. 4.7 yards per carry over the course of this 2022 campaign, about 10 weeks in for him. So the Ravens love him. They're still a run-heavy offense. It's not all Lamar taking off. They want to hand it off to an efficient guy like Drake to take some of the stress off of Lamar's shoulders. So Kenyon Drake in an optimal position, not only because he's been super efficient, but because Gus Edwards is probably not going to play. That's what I saw about 10 minutes ago. I saw unlikely to play. It was a game-time decision for a while. That is what I'm rolling with right now. Devontae Smith, this is an important one. Obviously, Dallas Goedert hitting the IR. Devontae Smith has a decent matchup. I mean, it's still a tough secondary in the Indianapolis Colts. But Dallas Goedert hitting the IR and Devontae Smith coming off of a nice game with a touchdown on his birthday last week, albeit it was in an Eagles loss to the Commanders. Devontae Smith in a great spot. Not going to be the primary focus. The primary corner will go on, of course, A.J. Brown, who was fighting off an injury before. So I really like Devontae Smith's chances coming off a nice, solid performance, of course, on his birthday. Dallas Goedert hits the IR. This Eagles team loves to chew up time of possession, so Devontae Smith should have plenty of opportunity. David Njoku, I just want to talk about this real quick. He is declared in. He is an immediate impact player, averaging 11 points per game, 11.3, and he is not touchdown reliant, only has 1 on the year. And I'm going to get to this question from Blurpy. Mark Andrews in as well. This has to be an immediate start regardless of the matchup. He's going up against the Panthers, not the best against tight ends. They've allowed an average of 45 receiving yards to tight ends per game. I expect that to go up. Andrews has had that full couple of weeks of rest. He has had 4 20-plus fantasy point performances despite missing some time this year. I mean, even with the missed time, Mark Andrews has more red zone targets than anybody else on this Raiders team with 14. Next closest is 7. All right, let's get into it, folks. So I see BapJabs in the stream. BapJab, if you have any questions at all, anybody popping in right now, if you have any questions at all, I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. I am doing your last-minute fantasy homework. Plenty of updates this morning, so I wanted to make sure I hopped on a stream and gave all of you as many updates as possible. Blurpy's asking Olave or Kadarius Toney at flex. You know, Chris Olave, I feel like, is an immediate start in almost any situation. Let's see here. Going up against the Rams, probably going to be lined up and shadowed by Jalen Ramsey. Not sure if they're going to try and man this wide receiving core up or not. Obviously, bruised up with Michael Thomas not out there. Kadarius Toney has a phenomenal matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers, and there were some injury updates I wanted to go over as well. So here, 1 second, folks. Hope you all are doing great on this fine Sunday morning. I'm sure you're all getting that rush. All your matchups are about to start in about 25 minutes, or some of which, if you have some players on the noon slate, which is usually the case. Okay, so Mecole Hardman obviously not playing. Juju Smith-Schuster declared out. So MVS is in and Kadarius Toney is in. We're looking at the depth chart right here. Blurpy going with DeAndre Hopkins and Amon St. Brown at wide receiver. Looks like D-Hop should play. We don't have any declarative statements yet, but in that divisional matchup with a team that has their back against the wall. He's got an extra day of rest. We're thinking he might play. Amon-Ra St. Brown is always a good play when he is healthy. Got plenty of usage against the Bears not too long ago. So between Chris Olave and Kadarius Toney at flex, with the injuries around Kadarius Toney, with Mecole Hardman down, with Juju Smith-Schuster out today, Isaiah Pacheco, really excited to see him at that running back 1 spot. Told you guys to get rid of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, try and sell him off. It's still a high ownership rate. There's Ronald Jones just hanging out in 4th. And then Isaiah Pacheco getting slotted in there. But this is a pass-heavy team. They throw it 64% of the time. And of that 64%, we're not going to see anything go to Mecole Hardman. We're not going to see anything go to Juju Smith-Schuster. We're not going to see anything go to either of those guys. So it's going to be MVS. It's going to be Kadarius Toney, who had a nice week last week, slotting into this lineup, transitioning pretty well. And, of course, Travis Kelce. It's a throw-heavy offense. 2 of the main pieces are down. Blurpy, I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney. I think he has a better matchup than Chris Olave, and there's more room for him to operate. He's not going to be their fill-in wide receiver 1. That's always going to be Travis Kelce getting the majority of those targets. However, with Mecole Hardman down, with Juju Smith-Schuster down, I am going to go with Kadarius Toney against that pretty weak Los Angeles Chargers secondary. They've got the talent. They've got the personnel all over, obviously. Linebacking core, secondary, and all. They've got Derwin James. They've got J.C. Jackson. Got Khalil Mack in the linebacking core. But they just allow a lot of yards. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. And I think Kadarius Toney, coming off of a good week and also having some guys around him hurt in Mecole Hardman and Juju Smith-Schuster, is going to help his situation out a lot more than Kadarius Toney, who may be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey throughout the duration of the evening. So let's go with Kadarius Toney. You're starting Kamara as well, D-Hop and Amon-Ra. Good luck to you, my man. PJ Monroe, start Mike Williams or Amon-Ra non-PPR. Let's see here. Picking up Dortch. That's a good one, just in case for Monday. For Greg, depending on your spot, right? I mean, it's Colt McCoy likely going to play, so there's a lot going on. But I'm going to acknowledge PJ Monroe real quick. Start Mike Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown, non-PPR. Feel like I have to start Kenyon Drake this week. PJ just started the stream out by saying this. Kenyon Drake, an extremely important piece on this offense. Still a run-heavy offense. That's been their identity. He has scored at least 15 fantasy points in each of the last 4 weeks. Gus Edwards is down. I like this matchup a lot, and they're playing a Carolina team that allows 4.5 yards a carry. I like the Kenyon Drake play. So the PJ, for your other question, Mike Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown, non-PPR, if we look, I have to check this Chargers depth chart every couple of hours because there's constantly new injuries loading in. Joshua Palmer goes down. Keenan Allen's in and out. Mike Williams in and out. Guyton's been on IR. Is Keenan Allen still questionable? Are you kidding me? Plans to play against the Chiefs, but the coaches will make the final call. That sounds like a limited snap situation to me. I'm not sure Keenan's going to go a ton of snaps. Mike Williams, on the other hand, expected to play. And I'm really looking at this because the Chiefs secondary allows plenty of yards through the air. Everett was added to Saturday's injury report and is listed as questionable. So this is a late injury addition. So we don't know about Keenan. We don't know about Everett. We could have a full wide receiving core with the exception of Guyton, so it's really tough to look at. But Mike Williams, if he is playing against that Chiefs defense, I mean, this is what I like, right? Guys, when we are looking at matchups, we always want to look at the strength of the opposition. Pass yards allowed per game. Got to go all the way down here to see Kansas City, bottom 10. 8th worst. We're going to see a lot of action through the air. It's a banged-up wide receiving core. But then with Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's your other option. By the way, welcome to the last-minute live stream, everybody. Wanted to get a lot of different updates in this last final half hour. Plenty of chaos going on in terms of injury updates and all that good stuff. Lions against the Giants. Giants have a pretty good secondary. Man. I think even in that game script with, if the Lions end up going down 2-3 possessions, Saquon Barkley is pretty hard to stop. Lions don't have a great run defense. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown gets a lot of targets, especially if they're down. I don't see a world where the Lions blow out the Giants and they're just going to run the ball down everybody's throat. So, PJ, let's go Amon-Ra St. Brown because of the indecisiveness with Mike Williams being healthy or not. Looks like he'll play, could be limited snaps. Plenty of injuries going on. Yes, it's a great matchup, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, will be in a pretty optimal position in that I think the Lions will lose and he'll get plenty of targets. Blurpy, should I pick up Dortch too, just in case for Monday? If you would like to, it depends on who is on your bench. It's not a bad call, but with Colt McCoy in there, it's really hard to say what's going to go on. Plenty of injuries, obviously, with DeAndre Hopkins out as well. You probably don't have Rondo Morris. That's why you're looking in the direction of Greg Dortch. Let's do it, just in case. Security blanket. It's a tough situation. You have guys who are hurt. We're not sure if they're going to play or not, and they play on Monday night. Meanwhile, we have to make a decision in the next 19 minutes, and that's why I put this stream up, because there are plenty of updates that I have to give all of you guys in a very short amount of time. Luckily, I talk kind of fast, so I think I can get through them all. And I feel like Mike Williams is more of a red zone target than Amon-Ra. Need touchdown upside in non-PPR. It is, okay, it is non-PPR. You're looking more for that big play. I keep forgetting. I was kind of basing that off PPR, PJ. I'm thinking like, oh, we'll get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 receptions. Maybe we go Mike Williams. He's that bigger target. We're not sure about Keenan. Coaches are making the final call. We're probably going to get a limited snap count with a guy who's played 2 weeks this whole year. I keep forgetting it's non-PPR. That changes a little bit because I think we do need that touchdown upside with Mike Williams. I agree with you. Let's go Mike Williams. He's got a better matchup to replace D-Hop. Blurpy, yeah, let's dig into that depth chart. Keep in mind we have Colt McCoy throwing the ball, so there might be a heavier reliance on James Conner. Let's see here. Brian Ferreira, nice to see you again, man. Once I saw Njoku activated, I was hoping you would jump on the live stream. Is Njoku worth the start over Greg Dulcich? I'm a bit weary on starting players right away. Okay. Brian, let's do a little deep dive here. Thank you all for joining the stream. I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. I am doing your last-minute Week 11 fantasy football homework on this Sunday morning. Plenty of updates, and I wanted to make sure that I kept all of you in the loop. Maybe you're not like me and you don't have 5 million fantasy football apps constantly updated you. So I just wanted to make sure that I was that resource for all of you to give you these updates, the injury updates, all that good stuff. So we're on Brian's question. Njoku or Dulcich? I think Dulcich is a safer play, Brian. We're looking at a Las Vegas Raiders defense that is bottom 5 in multiple categories, one of which being... All right, 1 second. Bottom 7 in this one, but passing yards allowed. 250 per game. Then if we look at the tight end position... Thinking of all you guys when I see Njoku gets activated, Mark Andrews gets activated for sure. We're still unsure about DeAndre Hopkins. Gus Edwards is likely not going to play, opening up a huge window for Kenyon Drake, who's been efficient. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is way too much information for me to not hop on a live stream right now and just rattle all of this off to you guys. So I hope you appreciate it. If you are getting a benefit out of it, if you're getting value from this live stream, make sure you drop a like, of course, in the stream and subscribe as well. Just hit the 250 milestone ahead of Thanksgiving, which I am very thankful for, so I appreciate all of you. Hopefully, I am giving you enough help in return. So Greg Dulcich going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that definitely allows a decent amount of yards. We're talking a little over 50 yards per game and a touchdown more often than not. Greg Dulcich obviously being the guy. We don't know who's going to win, but I expect it to be a very balanced game script between the Raiders and the Broncos. I think I'm going to go Greg Dulcich, Brian. I'm a little wary on starting somebody coming off injury as well. Not to mention, David Njoku is playing the Bills. So, yeah, it's going to be a really tough matchup coming off an injury. Maybe he does well, maybe he doesn't. But there's also Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper, and it is a run-heavy scheme behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Brian, I think the safer play here is Greg Dulcich in a very nice matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. Mikey, Fields or Lamar? That is a good one, my friend. That is a good one. Ravens against Panthers. It is a run-heavy scheme. Once a team starts to win by a lot, I expect the Ravens to win by a lot, but it could be Lamar running around. However, you typically don't see a quarterback putting himself in harm's way once it is a blowout. So our question is Lamar going to be, either way? Is he going to be tucking and running himself, or is he going to be throwing it through the air? Then you have Justin Fields against a pretty weak secondary in Atlanta, but he's not built on throwing the ball. He's going to get out in the open field, do his thing. So let's see here. It's hard to not go with Fields with how well he has been doing as of late, but the Panthers are a pretty vulnerable matchup. Fields does have more upside, and he has been committed to the run game. If we look at Lamar Jackson, oh boy, 15 minutes. Let's get those last second questions in, guys. I think lineups lock a couple minutes before kickoff, so I want to make sure I answer all of your questions. I'm going to start speeding up. I'm usually pretty thorough, but I'd rather give all of you an answer than be thorough with some and leave others hanging. Yeah, with rushing, we've still got about the same amount of design runs as Fields. We're seeing 11, 9, 10. I'm looking at Lamar down the game log here. Fields really being that team's only source of offense at times, and now Khalil Herbert's down, so I think we're going to see an uptick in production from David Montgomery, but I think Fields is going to tuck it and run a lot more. Khalil Herbert was more efficient. They're going to look for more of that efficiency out of Justin Fields. Mikey, I'm going Fields. He's had 35-plus points in the last couple of weeks. That's really hard to pass up. Blurpy, should I drop Drake London and pick up Madison or Warren? I have Dalvin Cook. I think Drake London is still, he's still the target share leader. And Chicago has a pretty weak defense. They have an okay secondary. Jalen Johnson, Kendall Vildor, Eddie Jackson. If you're benching London, I don't think we have to make any hasty decisions right now. But I don't know if Madison is worth the pickup, especially if it's PPR. Drake London just needs a couple of receptions. And Kyle Pitts, Marcus Mariota have a 46% catch rate between the two. So I'm going to say we hold on to Drake London despite it not being the best situation. I think it's better than the other two options you just gave me, especially with Dalvin Cook being there as well. I have Waller on my IR spot right now. I can drop him, and if D-Hop is ruled out, I can put D-Hop in the IR spot and then pick up Dortch. Yeah, Darren Waller, even when he was playing, he wasn't doing anything phenomenal. Obviously it's a pass-heavy Raiders game, but we have to get impatient now. Let's just get rid of Darren Waller. I don't think anybody's going to be chomping at the bit to go after him. If I look here, appreciate all of you hopping on last minute. You're probably all just sitting on your phones waiting for football to start. You get the live alert, and you're like, oh, what's he doing on here? Made sure, because there were so many updates in this last hour that I got on here and spewed out as much information as possible to help all of you heading into Week 11. Let's hope we all get some dubs this week for the next 4 games. So Darren Waller is probably going to be on the IR until your playoffs Week 1, playoffs Week 2. If you're confident in your tight end situation, this is for Blurpy, you can do that and go ahead and get Dorsch if you want a quick pickup play. I do think DeAndre Hopkins is going to play. This team has their back against the wall. He's got an extra day to rest. As long as you have a solid tight end core, don't drop Waller if you're like, well, that was going to be my starter. Obviously, you're making do right now because he is on the IR, so let's do that. Edward Zhang, welcome back to the stream, my man. Hope you're doing well. Yo, choose one running back, one flex. Okay, Brandon Cooks, Rondale Moore, Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift, and Darnell Mooney. Full PPR. Darnell Mooney against that Falcons secondary makes my mouth water. I think obviously the Bears are still going to sit with a pretty run-heavy scheme. But Edward, if we look here, Atlanta allows more passing yards than anybody else in the league. Darnell Mooney has been the primary target of Justin Fields. Brandon Cooks I'm not in love with, especially with Nico Collins kind of getting more targets as of late. Rondale Moore, not the best matchup against that 49ers secondary. I'm not a big fan of Brian Robinson. However, Brian Robinson is going up against the Texans' run defense that has been allowing a lot. I think it's going to be a situation where Washington can win, and he'll get plenty of usage. I'm going to go Brian Robinson and Darnell Mooney. Those are my two, Edward. Hope that helps you. Anime Del Rio, welcome to the stream once again. Do you think that Jacoby Myers will do fine, or should I look around? Should we look around? Against the Jets secondary, I think it's going to be tough for the Patriots to move the ball through the air. I would look around if we're looking at people on ESPN Fantasy Football, just assuming you play that, who are available. Let's see here. Keep dropping those questions, guys. I'm going to fire off as many answers as I possibly can. I keep looking at Mike Williams because he is questionable. If you were in like a 6-team league, maybe he would be available. Mike Williams is for anime. Deontay Johnson has a really tough matchup. He wouldn't be available either. So let's look here. At Kadarius Toney, he's getting a lot more. Kadarius Toney on the Chiefs has a really good matchup against the Chargers. His value is upticking. I see it's up in the 60s now. That's another one we might want to check for. But if you can grab one of those, otherwise a really low-end play would be like a Donovan Peoples-Jones. Tough matchup against the Bills, but Kadarius Toney would be my priority. Or if you were in like a 6-team league, maybe you go get Mike Williams, who some people have probably dropped because he's been hurt as of late. That's what I would go with, anime. PJ Monroe, let's go back to you. What I could do is start Amon in the flex over Ramondre Stevenson. Stevenson going up against that Jets defense. Should be a hard-nosed football game. Jets allowing just 4 yards a carry. I think I like Amon-Ra's upside. Again, game script-wise, right, I do expect the Lions to lose this. They can go throw heavy down the stretch. We don't really care if it's garbage points. Points are points. I say we go Amon-Ra over Ramondre Stevenson. Trey, welcome. See plenty of comments here. I'm going to get to all of you guys. Morning, brother. Full PPR. Let's start out of Singletary, Zeke, Michael Carter, Elijah Mitchell. Thanks and good luck today. Good luck to you too, man. Trey, I stream like 2 to 3 times a week. This goes for all of you. This stream being right before. I'll try and make more of a routine of this. Just give you last-minute fantasy football updates. Obviously, I understand a lot happens between my Friday and Saturday stream and kickoff at noon. So I'll try and do this more, but make sure you all like and subscribe if you do get value out of this stream. Okay. Singletary, Zeke, Michael Carter, and Eli Mitchell. So still a run-heavy team. Michael Carter's been getting more action. Obviously, Eli Mitchell had more touches than CMC last week. Zeke, against that Vikings, I like this. I like the run scheme, and I like the run play with Zeke and Pollard against that Vikings run defense that gives up a decent amount. And I do think that the Cowboys can put up a fight and keep a balanced attack. They don't have to win. They just can't get blown out because you don't run the ball when you don't get blown out. Or when you get blown out. So let's go Zeke. And Cleveland's allowing 4.8 yards a carry on the ground. Singletary's been doing pretty well. Increased usage here and there. Let's go Singletary and Zeke. Michael Carter obviously sharing the backfield. And then Eli Mitchell definitely sharing the backfield. So Trey, let's go with Singletary and Zeke on this fine Sunday morning. Steven, welcome, man. Hello, trade question. Full PPR offering me DK Metcalf for Jeff Wilson. My roster is Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Cordero Patterson, Jeff Wilson, and Mike Evans. Mike Williams, David Lazard, and more. Okay. High on Wilson, but I might need the wide receiving core. What do you think? Metcalf for Jeff Wilson. Let's see here. Yeah, I would definitely go with Metcalf. There's a lot of running backs over there right now in Miami. Obviously, it's Mostert. It is Wilson, and it's many, many others. So, Steven, Chase Edmonds is gone, so I'd have to think about that as well. But, Steven, I would take Metcalf. You've got Eckler. You've got Barkley. You've got Patterson. I don't think you need to go as deep as to get Wilson. That's not too top-heavy. I would take Eckler and Barkley. I mean, that's a pretty good finalized running back core right there. The only issue with either of them, and it's really been Barkley, has been injuries. I'm going to stick with my running backs, and I'm going to go after DK Metcalf. I think that'd be a great addition. So, Steven, I say we take that trade. Edward says, thank you so much, bro. Anytime, man. Good to see you dropping into the stream. Brandon Peralta, let's get it. Start one between Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Boyd, or Michael Pittman. Full PPR. Okay. Mike Williams against that pretty weak Chiefs secondary. Deontay Johnson against a pretty stout secondary in the Bengals. Same with Tyler Boyd. Going the other way against the Steelers. Not the best. And he's also kind of going to get lost, in my opinion, between Hayden Hurst, T. Higgins. Let's go Mike Williams. Not a big fan of the Michael Pittman thing right now. I mean, he is the wide receiver one, but if you look at the matchup with the Eagles, Darius Slay is probably going to be camping around him. So I'm going to go Mike Williams, I would say. That's probably my favorite out of those four, Brandon. I think he has the most upside. Untamed Music, Mooney or Drake, half-point PPR. Let's go Kenyon Drake. He's been super efficient, 15-plus points in 3 of his last 4 games. And Gus Edwards is unlikely to play. I do like Darnell Mooney against that secondary. I think either of them do well. I think I'm going to go Kenyon Drake because it is half-point PPR, and we want more of those raw yards on the ground. Luka Magic, A-Rob, Gallup, Landry, or Slayton, half-point PPR. I have Danny Dimes, so we're thinking about possibly stacking with Slayton. Obviously Landry's in that bruised-up wide receiving core. The Rams have a pretty good secondary, though. I'm not going to do Landry. Looking at everything here, I think A-Rob, when we have a guy like Cooper Kupp losing or being ejected from that wide receiving core, all those targets that he was getting are going to get spread out. A-Rob's probably going to be the primary option along with Tyler Higbee. Those are 2 guys I'm really high on, along with Ben Sko as well. Luka, I think A-Rob has the most upside just due to target usage because Cooper Kupp is out. So that's kind of what I'm going with there, guys. I appreciate all of you hopping into the stream last minute with me. There were plenty of updates. I'll go over it one more time for those of you who hopped in now and are not in later. Kenyon Drake, big fan of him. Gus Edwards, unlikely to play. Kenyon Drake, 15-plus points in 3 of the last 4 performances. Devontae Smith coming off of a very nice performance. Dallas Goedert, obviously, on the IR. David Njoku is in. Gets plenty of targets relative to the rest of the tight end market, averaging over 11 points per game at the position. And Mark Andrews is in. If he's in, we're playing him. This is a top 2 tight end. It's him and Kelsey up at the top in terms of usage, in terms of productivity. And he has the most red zone targets of anybody in Baltimore, even with the missed time at 14. Next closest is 7. So those are guys we want to keep an eye on, guys we want to start. I hope this stream was beneficial for all of you. Your lineups are probably getting locked any second now. So I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes. Try to do some of your last-minute fantasy homework for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value out of it. And good luck to all of you in Week 11. Let's go get some fantasy dubs.